Hey guys, welcome to another video. For today's video, we are going to be looking at budget. So how much do you need to build a gaming PC? Now obviously, if you're building a gaming PC, you don't have to do this all at once, you can do it over time, but a good budget to look at. In my past videos, have been a whole bunch of benchmarks, so that was busy testing this PC that you see here. This is a little bit on the higher end, building something like this, and you don't need to do this all at once. I mean, you can do this over time, build up your PC something like this. For this video, we're going to be focusing on budget. A lot of guys ask me, how do I build PCs for so cheap? So we're going to look at basically what I work around. Obviously, this PC cost a fair amount more than that, but you're looking at an AMD CPU. This is a new Ryzen 5 5500. You're looking at the motherboard. The motherboard I paid 1,100. Incredible connection. The power supply 650 or 650 rand for the power supply. It's a 600 watts. The fans cost 700 bucks. The case. The only reason why it was so expensive because of the case and the GPU. Since I decided to splurge a little bit on the GPU. It's a RTX 2060 Super. So yeah, so today we're going to go through what my budgets usually are, and then we'll have a look at that PC. And if you catch one of my other videos, you can check all the benchmarks. So for a budget, basically what you need: CPU, motherboard, RAM, graphics card, power supply, PC case and storage. Obviously if you've got one of those things, you don't need to buy it. In terms of costing, CPU usually budget about 2,000 rand, 1,000 rand for a motherboard, 1,000 rand for RAM, graphics card 2,000 rand, which is a bit low. Sometimes for instance power supply you can find them for cheaper, but 700 rand you can get a new power supply for that price. PC case 700 rand, and then storage. If you go for one of EveTech's cases, you can get one with fans included, which means you don't have to pay any extra for fans, but you're looking at a budget of about 8,100 rand. Now if you've got any of these components, obviously it'll cut down the price. In terms of CPU, 2,000 rand. At the moment you can find some second hand, so I've managed to pick up a Ryzen 5 3500X for 1,300 rand. I also managed to pick up a Ryzen 5 for 1,800 rand. So you can find them, you just got to keep your eye open. Motherboards, second hand, I've been able to get B550 motherboards for 750 rand. You can find them for 850, 950. New, you can find them for 1,200 rand. RAM, if you find a kit, 16 gig kit for 1,000 rand, it's a very good price, but you can buy them new for 1,100 to 1,200 rand. Graphics card, this price on a graphics card is a little bit outdated because I see the lower end stuff's not holding its value very well. Power supply you can find cheaper. Gear here sell a power supply for 590 rand for a I think it was a 500 watt. PC cases, check EveTech. EveTech's got cases available for 699. They're on winter special and clearance sale. So I often pick those up for 699 rand. And then storage, you can pick up an M.2 SSD if your PC takes M.2 SSDs for 700 rand or 512. But I mean, even something like I've paid 300 rand for a 256 gig. You can pick up one of those, it'll work just fine, you won't have a problem there. So yeah, and usually what I do is if I find anything under these prices, round about these prices or under these prices, then I usually just buy it and put together a PC from there. For instance, from this PC that you see here, CPU, Ryzen 5 5500. The price of that, it's 6-core 12-thread CPU. A lot of the components in this build I actually just bought new. Sometimes you can find good second-hand parts, and sometimes when like Ryzen 3600s are going for 3,000 rand, then it's not really worth it, and you might as well go for something cheaper. I have managed to pick up Ryzen 5, like at the moment I've got a Ryzen 5 4500, and I picked that up for 1,800 rand. And then I've also got a Ryzen 5 3500X, and I picked that up for 1,300 rand. So a lot of the components in this specific build were new, just because of the time. The motherboard is a Asus Prime B550 Plus, pretty decent motherboard, not a small motherboard. I mean, it's got good heatsinks on it. The power supply was a Cooler Master Elite V3 P600 watt power supply. Picked that up new as well for 657 rand. There are cheaper ones. You can also pick up like a 550 watt for 600 rand. So there are cheaper ones that you can look at. The case itself is a Antec 120p crystal. I picked it up from EveTech. They had a clearance sale on it. The case usually used to go for about 2,000 rand, and they dropped it down to about 999 rand. So pretty good deal. And I just liked the case, so I thought I would kind of treat myself to building in something like this. The SSD, I picked up a second-hand SSD for a 256 gigabyte SSD, and I picked that up for 300 rand. The fans cost me 700 rand to put 7 fans into the build. CPU cooler stock. The graphics card, I did spend a little bit extra just to get the nice look out of the PC. That is an RTX 2060 Super. It's an 8 gig card, so very nice looking card. You can pick them up from the miners, just be cautious. The mining cards, even if they're only running for 8 months, they do go through quite a bit. Give it a clean, make sure it works, get them to test it first. I wouldn't pay full price for a mining card. Basically, if someone's selling a real proper 2060 that they've only used for gaming, you can pay roughly normal price. For this one, I paid 5,800. They generally go for quite a lot more expensive than that. But anything from 5,000 to about 5,500, it's a pretty good deal. Windows Pro operating system, Windows 10 Pro operating system, deep cool. No deep cool. It didn't come with any RGB. You didn't need any RGB. If you go for the fans, you can save money on the RGB. I did put a 1TB Seagate 2.5 SATA SSD just for some additional storage. And then for the GPU, in order to give it that look, that vertical mount, I did get a Fantex PCIe riser cable. You can pick it up from Woodware, 250 rand. Obviously, to this degree, you don't need to actually. I mean, you can eventually build up to this point where your PC looks like this. You can upgrade the graphics card. I mean, in this PC, you can upgrade the RAM if you needed to. Put RGB RAM in, sell off that RAM. You can upgrade the graphics card, go for like a 3060 Ti or a 3070. It'll handle pretty well. And then you can upgrade the CPU to, I mean, it's a B550 motherboard, so it's one of the latest motherboards. And you can upgrade the CPU to a 5600. So it's a fairly good upgrading PC. The power supply should be fine to handle most things. You might want to push it up to about a 650 watt if you need to on a 3070. But I mean, other than that, it's a solid little build. So let's have a look at some of the pictures, some of the photos, some of the videos. And yeah, worked out pretty well. And again, you don't have to spend so much in order to get your PC looking so good. But over time, you can actually get it to this point. But be patient and find some good deals.